Hi, welcome to Who Are You Wearing, the fashion podcast that's not really about clothes. I'm Alice, and some say fashion is therapy, and I think I might just get into that with today's guest. She's both stylish and funny, which frankly isn't fair on the rest of us. She's a comedian, actor, writer, and podcaster who's bringing her new show, Definitions of Toast, to this year's Edinburgh Fringe before touring it across the UK. You may also recognise her from the brilliant TV show Scot Squad, or maybe just from mooching around Edinburgh's vintage shops because she is a local now, don't you know? Yup, today we are joined by the gorgeous Amy Matthews. Amy, welcome to the dressing room.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. What a lovely intro. My goodness, it's so nice to be here. How are you?
I'm good. I am loving your outfit today. Can you just chat us through what you're wearing
With pleasure.
and where it came from? It's giving charity shop chic.
Always.
Yes.
That's most of the time. That's the vibe.
Yeah.
I'm like obsessed with just like old eccentric women.
Yes.
And I feel like the older I get, the more I'm like fully leaning into that. Like I think I just want to be a sort of Helena Bonham Carter.
That's exactly
character.
who came into my head when you said that. I was
That's
she's
honestly
the queen of that.
all like Victoriana, like always looks slightly frazzled. Like it's I think the most kind of low maintenance way to feel comfy and put together at the same time. So today, let's top to toe. Let's talk through what we've got. This is a silk scarf that I got from a vintage shop when I think I was probably 14.
Oh, was that like one of your first forays into
Absolutely,
vintage?
absolutely. I used to really love going to like Camden Market or whatever and having a little flit round. And to be fair, this was probably what I could afford with my pocket money at 14.
Yeah, totally.
And also, I was fully in the like NME era indie sleaze. Like that was my sort of teenhood.
Yep.
And I a silk scarf on any outfit was just was so necessary.
Yes.
Whether that was on a bag, as a belt, in your hair, whatever it was, just sort of tied round one's head. Yeah, that was a thing as well.
And it's one of those things where I think as a teenager, you dress so plain and then you get this piece and you're like,
this is me now.
I'm a fashion girl. For me, I think it was when I first started wearing red lipstick.
Yeah.
My friend's big sister, she was like the coolest girl in the world and she wore red lipstick. And we were like, okay, we're a bit too young, but when we're 16, we're going to start wearing red lipstick.
Oh, I love that so much. So yeah, this was from there. And now still, I like you. This is usually like on a bag. And this morning I was like, I just want to feel one insane thing to say. We're recording today in June.
Yes.
And it's quite cold and gross outside.
Yeah.
Because we're in Scotland. / in Britain, actually. It's crappy across the whole of the UK at the moment. And so I was like, I want to feel a bit cozy. So I was like, right, I'm going to have a little scarf number. Then this is a tank top. This is usually goes over a shirt. But I was like, this is just gonna be a tank top underneath from Monkey, now deceased. Do you remember Monki?
Does that not exist anymore?
No, it's been absorbed into a different youth focused brand, which I can't remember right now.
When did that happen?
I'm so sad about it because it was so. I think it was very maybe like of its time in a kind of like pre-pandemic, like big bold print, dungaree sort of boom moment. And
it was always very queer coded as well.
Very queer coded, absolutely. And but yeah, they've been absorbed by another brand, I think. So I'm quite attached to this now. And then this sort of jacket / blazer / I've worn it as a dress before as well. This was from a vintage shop in Bristol. Bristol's vintage shops. I could talk about all day. This skirt is from Marks and Spencer's Kids.
Okay, nice.
So I walked past it, I was like, I love that. And then I was like, oh, it's in the kids section. And I was like, hang on.
VAT,
I was like, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. So this is M&S Kids. And then my sort of shoe sock combination, which is quite often a staple. I like a bold shoe sock combination. That I don't know where the socks are from, but the shoes are again a charity shop in Stockbridge, actually in Edinburgh. Nice. And they were a size too big, but I loved them so much that I bought them anyway and bought insoles. So I think we're going somewhere between a kind of old eccentric widow.
Yup.
A Victoriana frazzled woman, and maybe from sort of the ankle down, the man she's trying to kill or avoid.
Okay.
You know, I think I love that as well. I love a real mix of either like textures or vibes.
Yes.
I love like high femme and quite sort of like tailored masculine together.
Yes, I love that
I like
too.
very starchy tailoring with some like frills.
Yes.
I love any kind of like contrast in stuff. Yeah, I think it's great.
Oh, I love chatting to someone that actually like understands their style. I think that's something that sort of comes as you get older. So you're in your 30s
I
now.
am just literally got my nose over.
Me too. And I feel like in your 30s it's just such a good time to actually find your style and understand what you wear.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you get this, but I get like the millennial fear that Gen Z think I'm ugly. All the time. Just me.
That's so funny. But do you know what? I've got a few Gen Z friends, and one thing I love about all of them is they are everyone's hype man or woman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I never feel as confident as when I'm around my Gen Z
Yeah.
friends, because they're like, yes, like you look amazing. Like just, and I'm like, yeah, do you know what? That's right. Actually, we should all be building each other up, and it's lovely. But no, I think one thing I really, really love about Gen Z, and funny enough, I talk about this a bit in the show, is they've just made it so encouraged to be completely comfortable. Like as in, like, you know, like the rise of Gorpcore, have you heard of this? So like all of the like
I have
sort of
thoughts about
hiking
that,
gear. Yeah. I respect it so much. I've just been like, no, do you know what? We want to be comfy. And like that's what we're going with. And it's so funny because like on one day, I would say most of the time I like to be really deliberate about what I wear. And I also have, as much as I would say, yes, I definitely know my own style and choices and preferences now, I also have so little consistency in them. Like there'll be one day where, you know, as I say, I wake up and I'll be like, do you know what? I want to look and feel like Miriam Margolyes. And then the next day I'll wake up and be like, no, I want to be high fashion or like very, very clean cut sort of Copenhagen, like starchy lines, very like sort of clean put together, which is on paper the complete antithesis to like this, you know, very sort of wacky put together, looks like a sort of pile of laundry on a chair vibe. And so, yeah, I think I also have, as much as I know my style and I know what I like, it's really hard to pin down because it's all over the place. Like, and it's funny, I've started doing a sort of summary on my Instagram every now and then.
Yes, I love these.
Yeah, of like recent outfits and like what I would name them. And just, I did it as like a laugh to sort of like go through what I'd been wearing recently. And I was like, who is this woman? So there's just absolutely no through flow at all. Like there's so many different looks, so many different vibes, but I think that's the fun of it. It's so expressive. And I don't ever feel like the same person one day to the next. So why should my outside reflect that at all? I understand the temptation of the kind of, you know, the Steve Jobs, Stephen Bartlett thing of like, I just want to remove one decision from my day and this is what I'm going to wear every day. It's like, I'd love to dedicate my headspace to putting together something mad, actually. That feels like a creative and you know, punk act to dedicate headspace to something frivolous. It's great.
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe this is a hot take, but I hate that everything now is like a core. It's like, oh, I'm cottagecore, or what core is this look? Like, it's me core. It's destroying fashion. Like, stop being like, how do I imitate this person's style? Be like, this is my style. And I feel like you fully embrace your style.
That's so nice. And do you know as well, I think I don't have the patience or inclination to keep up with like change. I think that's what it is as well, like changing. I if there's a trend that really like excites me, I'm like, great, but the chances are I will then indulge that trend for years, like at which point is that still a trend, who's to say? But yeah, I'm not one for like getting a new wardrobe every year, or like I don't even really do like a pre-holiday shop for like this is what I'm wearing on holiday. I just like to cobble together bits and bobs. It's funny, my girlfriend actually said, she was like, oh, I really need to change over actually all my winter stuff into summer stuff, because she puts her winter stuff away. was like, I don't know if it's just growing up in the UK.
Yeah.
Where you're like, well, you don't know what it's going to look like one day to the other. I don't have a winter wardrobe and a summer wardrobe.
Yeah.
I have layers. And so I think I sort of smush everything together in one.
I don't really understand how people can have seasonal wardrobes in the UK.
Agreed.
But I would love to know, like, I know as a kid, I loved clothes, and probably more than I fully understood at the time. But what did you dress like? What did the people in your life dress like?
Well, as a child, child, me and my sister would be dressed in the purple and pink or blue and pink version of whatever the 2-for-1 Cherokee label from Tesco.
That name has just unlocked a memory I forgot I had.
So Cherokee had was like the kind of George at Asda thing for Tesco, and they used to do 2-for-1 on skirts, shoes, whatever for kids. And so obviously, like, my mum was like, what's the easiest way to dress these children?
Totally.
and I would always have the blue or purple version of whatever that garment was, and my sister would have the identical one in pink.
Okay.
She was a real girly girl.
Were you happy with that colour arrangement?
Big time.
Or
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I wonder how much of it is yes, I was. Yeah, of course I was, and that informed, like, those subtle kind of differences that mean you're like, oh, maybe. That's really interesting, actually. But that's what I would dress in as a child a lot. I also loved dressing up, so I had a dressing up box.
Yeah.
Constantly, it was overflowing, and I would dress up as everything and anything. My favourite was I put together. My dad used to put on like old Top of the Pops and old Grey Whistle Test footage from like the sort of 70s and 80s, and I became obsessed with the Kate Bush Wuthering Heights video.
Okay.
And I put together a version of the Kate Bush dress, learnt the choreography in full, and it would be a staple of my Saturday to reenact that in completion. So that was a huge one.
I love how most girls are like Spice Girls.
Oh, I'm Spice Girls too.
And you're like Kate Bush.
I was Spice Girls too. Don't you worry about that. So yeah, I really, really loved dressing up. But also, what were the people around me wearing? I think my nan always had, she wore loads of rings.
Nice.
So I've sort of inherited that from her, and loved like a lot of very sort of bold, mad textures. She'd wear a lot of like velour and velvet and animal print. She was like, and she had like a sort of pink rinse, and like was quite sort of out there. I think without realising she was out there, that was just how she dressed, and would only ever really be seen in heels. She was sort of totter around in heels and big caftans and things. And I think I quite enjoyed that. In fact, I would often put on her heels and caftans as a child, which just looked like I'd been shrunk, like just sort of like a tiny little toddler in all of these massive clothes.
That is who I aspired to be. Like, you know, all these social media pages that is like the women of New York, but it's everyone is like 80 and they just like look bananas, but in the best way.
And do you know what? I've thought to myself more and more recently about how you get all of these ideas of like, oh, I can't wait to be 70 and not care. It's like, how about we make a choice to be 30 and not care, and have all of those luxuries of being able to do and be what we want without being less physically able. Like, whilst we're still young and fit and healthy, just elect to not care as much. Like, what a why wait until you know, another sort of 40 years? And I think that is something I think that only comes with, as you say, you sort of step into your 30s and you're like, sod it.
I've seen a lot of conversations online about man repellent fashion and like dressing for the female gaze rather than the male
gaze. What do you mean?
Literally, I'm like, no man is saying, oh, Helena Bonham Carter is, well, she is sexy, actually, but she's not a conventional sex symbol. And I think once you tap into your inner Helena Bonham Carter, you're like, yeah, this is who I'm meant to be.
But also, do you know what? There is actually nothing more attractive than someone who just knows who they are.
Totally.
And you know what it's like when you're around someone who is just so completely, clearly comfortable in themselves.
Yeah.
It's the most contagious thing in the world. And it actually doesn't matter what it is that makes them and like the choices that they've made. When they're comfortable in it, and you can smell when it's authentic and when it's someone going, I actually don't care what people think. It's like, it sounds like you might care what people think. think there's like a real authenticity to some people where they're just very, very at ease in themselves. And there is nothing more attractive than that.
And I think something you talk about in your new show is queerness. And I've seen you post clips when you're like, well, you date men and then you date women and things open up to you didn't realise.
Yes.
And would one of those maybe be like your girlfriend's wardrobe? Is
Oh my
that
gosh.
cliche true?
Absolutely, it's true. What's so nice about that is there's times where we will be sort of like, I don't know, like one of us will have underpacked.
Yeah.
I've been like, oh God, I've got nothing to go with this. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've got another bonus wardrobe to sort of rifle through. I mean, again, I think this says quite a lot about, as I say, I love bringing together different sort of vibes in one outfit. But to be fair, when I was with men, I would also raid their wardrobe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've fully dressed in my, ex-boyfriend's wardrobes before. So I think there is something really nice about just like, we've lost the art of borrowing clothes.
I 100% agree. Like
We really have.
Yeah, my best friend, for a couple of her like big career moments, she borrowed a couple of my dresses and she wore them. And I was like, yes, but also yes in my dress.
100%. It's like I would do that all the time when I was like sort
Yeah.
of 13, 14,
Totally.
15. If we were going a night out, again, because you haven't got money when
Yes.
you're a child, but you don't necessarily want to wear the same thing to your friend's 16th
Yeah.
birthday as you wore to the one before, you all just swapped clothes.
Yeah.
And I would love to do more of that. I wonder if there's like a sort of system we could get going. But I think there's something nice about just phoning a friend and being like, that lovely thing that you wore that I thought you looked
Yes.
amazing. Can I try it on and borrow it? I think that'd be really nice.
Yeah.
We need to bring that back. Bring back borrowing each other's clothes and crucially returning them.
Yes. But I do find it weird when people get very defensive about their clothes. Like, obviously give it back. But if someone's like, can I wear that? I'm like, yes, this deserves to get seen. Of course you can.
Couldn't agree more.
So talking about the gender thing, as a female comedian, do you feel a pressure? Like, are you getting comments on your Instagram about your appearance that your male counterparts are not getting?
Oh, absolutely. But I genuinely find it uninteresting.
Yeah.
I think I do find it boring in that I also get really nice comments about what I'm wearing or whatever as well. And you can't put too much meaning on either, because if you start giving currency to the comments that are like, you look amazing, you then also by default have to give currency to the opinions that think you don't look nice. And actually everyone's entitled. I would rather, of course I'd rather someone engage more with what was being said or whether they found what I was saying funny or interesting, but everyone's allowed to exist and share an opinion. But as far as the I would say the difference between how anyone who's not a sort of a straight white male doing comedy is commented on online, there is a tendency to it's funny that quite often anyone who's not a straight white male doing comedy gets criticised for talking about all of the things that differentiate them from that normative, right? So if there's a woman talking about a female experience in her comedy, if there's a queer person talking about queer experience, if there's a black person talking about their experience as a person of colour, there's almost always a comment that's just like, oh, classic person X talking about person X. They don't talk about anything else. It's like, actually, they're talking about their lived experience.
Yeah.
But when a straight white guy does it, it's just because that's deemed the normative experience. It's not seen as a differential. So it's just, oh, they're talking about their lived experience. They're talking about, that whatever they're doing. And it's like, well, so's everyone else. And you can't have it both ways. You can't sort of be cross that anyone who deviates from that normative is talking about differentiating from that normative if every single time they talk about it, you highlight that that's different. Yeah. It's like you don't realise the sort of self-own that is. So yeah, there are obviously differences. However, I will say as well, it's getting so much better in that because we have such a wealth of different voices going into comedy with a very long way to go, I might add. We just have such a spectrum now. And there's pros and cons for the algorithm sort of pushing echo chambers and all of this kind of thing. But also the plus of that is that it means people are finding their audience, and it's really nice that if you don't want to watch one particular flavour of comedy, you don't have to. You don't have to tell them, but you don't have to. There's so many genres in comedy, and we don't have the same kind of vocabulary around it as we do for music. But if you're into folk music and all you're being shown is heavy metal, you might think you don't like music. You actually just don't like metal. You love folk music. Whereas if you're, I think there's this tendency in comedy to go, well, if I didn't find that funny, you shouldn't be doing this and you're the worst person in the world. It's like, well, maybe I'm folk music and you want metal. And that's okay.
I do find it nuts, and I don't know if it's because we're so used to comedy on TV where it's sort of curated, but it's like people literally do not understand that if you don't like it, you just swipe. It's fine. Your day can go on.
People are very cross at people daring to do or say something slightly to the left of what they want to hear in that particular moment, and it is bizarre. And I say to the left there as a sort of proverbial saying, right. Not politically, or the right. But yeah, and also as well, I mean, there's no doubt an irony in this. We all consume things without any context now. So we consume these little sort of 30-second minute clips of things that are to be consumed in the context of maybe an hour show. I mean, if we consumed all media that way, Finding Nemo would be I don't know, a sort of short film about a clownfish that touched a boat. Yeah. There's,
or childhood abandonment.
Absolutely.
Or memory loss issues.
Absolutely. Exactly. And it's, exactly. I think if we sort of splice and extrapolate too much, it's a dangerous thing, but it's also it's the digital landscape we live in, isn't it?
So comedy then, what was your route into it? Because you act, you write, you do all these things.
All of that's a happy accident.
Okay.
Including the comedy, actually. So I did my master's here in Edinburgh. That's what first brought me to Edinburgh. And it was in modernist poetry.
Okay.
Which is...
the outfit makes sense now.
I've dressed as all poets.
Yes.
I basically, I wrote a play. And as a bucket list thing, I was like, I'd just love to do that before I go and do a sensible job. And then a friend of mine came to see the play that I wrote, and he was like, you write like a stand-up. You should try stand-up. And I just moved to Edinburgh, and I was like, no one knows me here. What a better way to try something new. So I signed up to the Comedy Society there, the Edinburgh Review, and did a 5 minutes as a kind of that'll be a fun story to tell at a dinner party. That I was like, I did stand-up once, and whilst I was there, applied for a bar job at the comedy club because I was like, I'm a student and I need money whilst I'm here. Got the job, and then they had a dropout one night whilst I was working behind the bar, and my manager at the time, Chris, was like, you've done a gig, haven't you? Do you want to fill in? And I was like, sure. And then the walk from the wings to the stage, I heard the compere, Liam Withnail, very funny comedian and now very dear friend, said, right, next up in the competition is Amy Matthews. And it was a new act competition. They hadn't told me.
Okay.
The prize was to come back the following week for twice as long.
Oh, no. Okay.
And I won it by some miracle. Came back the following week for twice as long. And it just sort of snowballed from there. It was like the happiest accident. It really, really was. And then off the back of, obviously, as I say, accidentally getting into comedy, the best thing about stand-up is it just throws open all of these weird and wonderful avenues, like podcasting, like acting, like voiceover, like writing, like, all of these weird and wonderful things.
But it feels like the Scottish comedy scene and comedy acting scene is so close. Yeah. And there's so many amazing people. Are you glad that you did comedy in Edinburgh rather than down south?
I consider the Scottish comedy scene my sort of professional spiritual home.
Yes.
Like it's where my most of my closest comedy friendships were forged. I think it's also the caliber of stand-up here, from grassroots to stadium filling professionals, and it forces you to be good quick because of how good everyone is, but also that spectrum from people's first few gigs at rooms above pubs to, you know, if you're selling out the Hydro, the individuals at every rung of that ladder are gigging together.
Yes.
In different guises.
Yeah.
So you might turn up at Monkey Barrel Comedy Club and at a new material night, you've got someone doing maybe their 4th gig.
Yeah.
And then you might have a household name
Frankie
dropping.
Boyle's always just popping up at the stand. Kevin Bridges,
to try and do
like that.
stuff.
Yeah.
And that is what's so, I think, important and brilliant about this line of work, but I think this scene is particularly good at that. Yeah, I'm indebted to the Scottish comedy scene for this job, but also for a lot of the friendships and community and opportunities that I've had in this line of work. It's home.
So nice to hear.
Yeah.
But Definitions of Toast, your new show, what's the story behind the name?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So when I was writing this show, there were a few things that I was thinking about were going to be the sort of key threads. And essentially the show is about learning to be angry.
Okay.
Because I don't naturally get angry, or certainly I don't get angry in the moment. I have a processing lag that means I often won't know how I feel about something until most of the time days, if not longer, afterwards. So I very, very rarely experience intense, like, emotional clarity about something when it's happening. It happens after. And that is coming out in my life, manifesting in ways that are increasingly disruptive but also increasingly very funny, which is why, you know, that's the sort of linchpin of the show. There's been a sort of pattern in Ex-Partners where I have previously been in relationships with people dealing with alcoholism or addiction, and what it means to be the person caring for a person dealing with that illness, or at least if not caring for them, being around them and loving them and living with them, and then also the kind of the queerness in your 30s thing as well. So there's all of these different threads that are all brought together in this sort of how this processing lag is playing a role in that. And the definitions of toast are that I explore in the show are the idea of something being undergoing heat and pressure and being irreversibly changed, i.e. like a toast.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're toasting something. It's also for something to toast. That's toast, something to be over, something to be finished. And then also a toast to like new beginnings, to sort of honour something. And I was like, there's all of these definitions of toast that perfectly summarise the sort of 3 different chapters or sort of themes in the show. That's where the title came from. And then when it came to, and it ties in as well with like the artwork around the show.
Yes, that artwork, by the way, your outfit, like lace Victoriana. I was going to ask you, what is your styling process for things like that?
I loved it so much. So I knew I wanted to incorporate fire in the image.
You're literally on fire in this image.
I wasn't literally on fire. The risk assessment was too much. I've done posters where I've been photographed underwater and did a 90-minute underwater shoot that involved like free diving. So I was like, I've done my time on the big budget elemental posters. So that was a bit of post production, I'm afraid. But I was like, I knew I needed fire on the poster, particularly because of the theme of anger. Also, it's my 4th hour, and it's the 4th of a sort of quadrant of where each poster has a different element. The first one was air, the second was water, the third was earth, and this is obviously fire, and it ties in with the anger theme. And then I also, with the nod to the sort of stepping into your queerness in your 30s, I wanted a nod to a portrait of a lady on fire. So I drew inspiration from the artwork for that. So I was like, what is going to be a nice way for me to incorporate all of those things and an outfit into the imagery? And I was like, I loved the idea of like fire being at the end of this long bit of textile. So I've got this really long sort of trailing bit of linen, with it almost being like it's creeping up on me, like it's like something about to go off, but slowly. Again, that felt thematically right. And I was like, what visually is going to look good with that? And I was like, I like the idea of this kind of very kind of last dinner party, lots of lace.
And just the contrast of that, it's like very traditionally feminine and classic.
Yeah, for sure.
Feminine rage, does it
Definitely. So I was aware that I wanted the fire to be kind of the main focus. I was like, I want to keep the palette quite stripped back. The shoes, again, I've had those since they were the first pair of heels I was ever allowed to buy. They were from New Look, and I bought those for a disco when I was 14.
Oh
so
my God,
they
you still
finally
have them?
finally had their day in the sun.
Yeah.
I still wear my school shirt.
Okay, nice.
So I genuinely am without realising it, a sustainability clothing advocate. But I'd love to say that's why I just don't, stuff that works I just don't throw away.
Yeah, you're just a hoarder. I'm just ethics.
So yeah, I still frequently wear my school shirt, and apparently my 14-year-old disco shoes.
But the Fringe, I mean, it's a slog.
It's a lot. It's a long
You
month.
say it's your 4th Fringe.
It's my 4th hour. It'll be my 6th Fringe. Yeah.
So when you are getting yourself ready for a show almost every day, is that something you look forward to? Do you dread it?
Yeah, in the lead up to a show, you get into a rhythm of it. You get into, I really like the sort of ritual nature of it.
Yeah.
I like that it's kind of the 1 month where you've got one thing to focus on.
Yeah.
And that is a blessing.
And are you quite ritualistic in your outfit? Like, do you have like a costume?
Yes, I will pick an outfit. I've not actually picked it yet, which is very exciting. But every year I pick a show outfit just because it's like removing one variable.
Yes.
So it's like, do you know what? I need to know if I just keep those clothes at the venue. That's what I'm wearing every day. Don't need to think about it. Because also, as you know, an outfit changes your mood, and it changes your persona. Sometimes it can change what you're putting out to the world. And I think in a show, particularly one that is conducted in a sort of psychological marathon of a month, you need to feel consistency where you can and control where you can, because so much of it is out of one's hands. So I do always pick an outfit. I don't know what mine will be this year, but I'm going to have a little thing. Previously I've had a costume for each one. So I'll do the
smells
same
great by the end of the month.
Don't, honestly. My when I did I Feel Like I'm Made of Spiders, I wore a tweed suit from Percival that was lovely. Yeah. But dear
Sweaty.
Lord, it was like lamb's wool. And it was in the basement of a pub, and it was it was honestly an absolute biohazard.
I've also noticed on your Instagram, you're starting to get sponsored fashion posts.
Yeah.
Are you seeing yourself as in like your fashion influencer era?
Oh, do you know, I would never claim to be, but I also, it's genuinely really nice that when I also only ever really do collaborations or sponsored stuff for clothing brands that I genuinely use and buy, because I think otherwise there's it's a bit complicated if you don't. So, and also I think it's fun to actually play with the posts that you can do like for them, and so I find that its own kind of creative thing really. But yeah, it's really, really fun. I've had a lovely one with Monsoon recently. Lucy and Yak I frequently do bits and bobs for, so yeah, just really, really nice to be playful with all of that as well.
Living the dream. Now to finish off, I've got something quite fun. It is called the Who Are You Wearing Quick Change Round.
Fantastic.
So I just want your first answer to get to know you and your wardrobe a bit better. So the first question is, what are you wearing when you want to feel your absolute best?
A suit.
Yes.
Of some kind. Tailoring. There we go. I'll revise that. Tailoring. Some kind of tailoring. I love either like throw a tie in there, throw a sharp shirt, a blazer. But I think you can, even if you're in joggers and a vest, pop a blazer on with it, you feel cool.
Agreed. Okay. What is one item of clothing you'll never throw away?
Apparently my sixth form shirt.
And your shoes.
My school shirt and my 14-year-old disco shoes. There we go.
Great. What is the most you thing in your wardrobe?
Last year, I took it upon myself to buy a ruff.
Okay.
Like a Tudor ruff.
Yes.
And I was like, do you know what? I'm an independent adult with my own pocket money now. If I want to wear a ruff, I can wear a ruff.
And how much have you wore this ruff?
More than you'd know.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you know what? I will say my ruff is my because it's emblematic of something bigger than just the ruff. It's like, do you know what? If you want to stick a Tudor ruff on with an outfit on a Tuesday and go to Tesco, you can and do.
I love that.
So yeah.
That is unhinged.
It's so insane. It's so insane.
So, what is a fashion trend you would never try or something you just hate? I feel like you're not super trend-led, but...
Not very trend-led. However, okay, what is something I really don't love? Without sounding predictably millennial, the low-rise jean does make me very sad.
Yes.
But that's a you know, that's its own thing. I don't love... I think I'd really, really struggle, again with millennial trauma, to ever wear a peplum top.
Oh, interesting.
I think, you know, do you remember when there was like a phase where we would all go clubbing in office chic?
Yep.
It was mad. It was mad. We all looked like we were getting our LinkedIn photos taken. It was mad. There was a time where we would all wear peplum tops, and I think that has just... It's mad because when I see, like, there's been a sort of like new sort of Damson Madder revival of that kind of thing. And I see it sometimes, I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough, that looks nice on you. But I just don't think I could do it myself. I really don't. So the peplum.
Well, what I loved about that era is it would be like peplum top, but disco trousers. Do both.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. What a time. What a time.
So what is something you've worn and instantly regretted, either on stage or in life?
That's a great question. I've worn shoes before now where I've gone, this was a lovely idea, but it's gonna look like I've been to war when I get home.
Yes.
I remember I wore a pair of I got a lovely pair of Miu Miu heels from Vinted. And I wore them once for New Year when I knew I wasn't leaving the house. So they'd only been potted about in a flat. And even then I was like, I can honestly feel my bones like creaking out of shape. They were so uncomfortable. So probably those.
But gorgeous.
That was so nice.
So this question, normally I feel I can guess what the answer is going to be, but I can't guess at all for you.
Oh, okay.
If your wardrobe could only be one colour for the rest of your life, what are you choosing?
It's funny because I am, on one hand, very colourful, and on the other hand, I love a monochrome moment. I love a bit of black and white. I think if I had to pick one, it would be black. I think I would just go classic, go gothic. I think it can be many things, whilst also feeling like you can be expressive. Using you could sensibly use it in a lot of different environments and occasions. So yeah, I will go black, which I think would surprise a lot of people because, as I say, I do like a bit of colour.
Well, you know what? I'll let you keep your colourful accessories.
We'll
just keep the base
that
black.
Is perfect. That's perfect.
And finally, I need a name for my mannequin lady. I'm looking for suggestions.
Do you know what? She really reminds me of there was always an accent wall in around 2003 in most houses, I would say. And I feel like Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen is responsible for that accent wall. So maybe Leela? Leela? That's like a contraction of Lawrence's legacy. Laylee. Who knows? Something along that, or just Lawrence. Who's to say Lawrence?
She's gender non-conforming.
She's gender non-conforming. Lawrence. I think Lawrence's legacy.
Okay, Amy. Before you go, give us the full plug for your Fringe show. Yes. Where can people find you?
Of course. So it'll be at 3:00 at Monkey Barrel's venue at the Tron / O'Neill's, depending on what it's called at the time. But it's on Blair Street at 3:00 every day of the festival except Wednesdays. I take Wednesdays off so that I don't go insane. Yes, please come and see me then. It's called Definitions of Toast, and it's a genuinely joyful hour. Like, it's the most fun I've ever had with a show, and it's about booze, bisexuality, having a standoff with a pigeon, and it's got loads of fun stuff about Lily Allen's album in there as well. So if that floats your boat, I think it's for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us in the dressing room.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching today. I loved that chat and reliving some millennial trauma. And per Lila, my mannequin. Anyway, if you enjoyed the chat, I would love if you could give us a subscribe or a follow. You'll also find us on TikTok and Instagram, where we will have those little 30-second out of concept clips. Thank you.